Ever since I gained my shiny green badge, modifying, customising or personalising a cab has been a thing in the London taxi trade. From putting alloy wheels on the TX4s, chrome hubcaps on the fairways, chrome bumpers on fairways, spotlights on fairways, little chrome additions, leather interiors in fairways and TX4s. And now with the TXEs, the latest craze seems to be going what they call Amy, which is with a black one, de-chroming it and turning it all black. Now, there are certain things you can and can't do to a London taxi. Obviously, you can't go putting Carlos Fandango wheels on it, big alloy wheels, because obviously that will affect the way the meter operates. You can't go modifying the body. You've got to adhere to the metropolitan conditions of fitness and what the Public Carriage Office, now Transport for London, will allow you to do or not do, as the case may be. There are things you can do to make things more comfortable for you and to make your working environment a lot more pleasant a place to spend long hours in. I remember when I first started driving a taxi, I was sitting at the airport and this really shiny British racing green fairway pulled in with chrome bumpers on it, and this immaculately dressed guy got out that turned out to be George Weiss. And it reminded me somewhat of, do you remember the film Quadrophenia, when the mods were all very proud of their scooters and they get down to Brighton and the character that was played by Sting pulls up on this immaculately silver Vespa or whatever it was at the time, Lambretta, with lots of mirrors on it and spotlights, lots of chrome all over it. It sort of reminded me of that. So a lot of people have been asking me what modifications I've made to my taxi, what things I've done to it. So in this video, I'm going to show you some of the things I've done to my taxi, and I will also link in the comments down below as to where you can get most of these things. Now, all of these things are allowed by the Public Carriage Office. I'm not going to do anything to my taxi that isn't allowed by the Public Carriage Office.
Always alone. You will always be there. Always alone. You will always be there.
So let's start with the outside of the cab. And one of the first things that I had done was had these mud flaps fitted. And as you can see, it does stop a lot of the mud from going up the side of the cab, especially at the back, around the back bumper. You know, the cab's quite dirty at the moment and I live down a country lane, so it does stop all of the mud from flicking up the side of the taxi. So they're well worth having fitted. The next thing on the outside that I had fitted were these weather shields that you can see. You see these in the last video, and I had these fitted on all four doors. And these are proper LEVC weather shields that I've had fitted. And I've added these chrome edging strips to them. And the reason for that is the edge of these can be quite sharp, and when people come to the luggage side window to tell you where they want to go, some people tend to put their head through the window, and if they catch their head on the top of that And if they're follically challenged like myself, follically challenged like myself, then it can put a bit of a scrape on the top of your head. So these are basically to protect passengers, and also I think they look a little bit better, especially on a white cab with the chrome. It makes it look a bit better. Another thing I had done was I had these chrome window washer covers put on. I just think, you know, maybe not for everybody, but I just think they make it look a little bit better. And as I said, please excuse the state of the cab because it is a bit dirty at the moment. But yeah, I think these look a bit better, make it look a bit better, especially the chrome on the cab. The next thing on the outside I had done was I had these chrome number plate surrounds put on. Now these are not actually chrome, they're stainless steel. I've had them put on the front and also on the back, which you can see. I've had one put on the back as well. So these are actually stainless steel. And I've also had the number plate, the taxi plate surround, painted gloss black. But one of my little things has fallen off. Let's put that back on. So yeah, I've had that put on. And also some caps on the screws on the plate surround. But I think most people were interested in some of the interior modifications that I'd made. Now the first one was obviously the carpet in the back, which is a bit dirty at the moment, and I apologise for that. And some people have criticised me for having the carpets fitted in the back, saying, don't they get dirty and smelly? Well, if you keep your taxi clean and you clean the carpets, then there's no reason why they should get dirty and smelly. And the other thing is, doing weddings, you know, people expect a little bit of luxury, and I think it makes the taxi look a whole lot better with the carpets in the back. You know, I've had them put on all of the seats, on the doors, on the floor. I've had the back changed there, and I just think it makes the cab look so much better. Just looks luxurious, you know, all matches with the seats, and I just think it makes it look luxurious. Yeah, it's not for everybody. Some people prefer the vinyl flooring because they think it's easy to wash out, and yeah, the carpet will wear, but then vinyl wears and vinyl can rip. And you know, if I have to change the carpet on the floor once a year or whatever, then so be it. I've had carpets in the back of all of the taxis that I've owned, so I don't see why this one should be any different. So yeah, I just think it just makes it look a bit more luxurious, and I think the passengers appreciate it because everyone does comment on how nice the taxi is when they get in the back of it. The next modification I made to the cab was this leather steering wheel. I had this fitted at Ascot's, and I much prefer this to the standard plasticky type of steering wheel. It's got blue stitching and perforated around the side with a solid leather at the top there, and I just think it just makes the driving experience so much better. And yeah, probably not for everyone, again, down to personal taste, but I really like it. I just think the leather steering wheel is so much better than the standard steering wheel. It just feels much nicer in the hand, you know. It's just a much nicer feel when you're driving, and it's much nicer than the plasticky type of steering wheel that the cab comes with, and I much prefer it. I know I keep saying that, I much prefer it. Now, one thing that people were really seemed to be interested in was this phone holder. So this phone holder, let's take the phone off of it. So this bracket here that actually clamps around the pillar, the A post of the cab, is actually a Brodit mount. And then this on here is a Scoshi wireless charging mount. Now, I was a little bit disappointed with this, first of all, because when I bought this phone, I bought this case, which is an Otter case, and it's supposed to be a MagSafe case. And I actually had to put a magnet in the bottom of it to hold it on there. Now, this case was very expensive from the Apple store. Well, it was quite expensive, let's say. But my new phone has got a cheap case on it, a G-Tech case, which was about £10. Doesn't need a magnet, sticks on there, fine, and starts charging, fine. So, the Scoshi mount is good. It charges the phone, but they're very expensive. I think that Scoshi mount at the moment is about £60. Now, I'm a great advocate of Scoshi mounts, because the original ones that looks like this are absolutely great. You know, you can stick them on the dashboard somewhere, stick it there, you put a little magnet in your phone case, and then your phone just sticks on there. You can spin this around to wherever you want, like that. So, and you can just, your phone will just attach to it, you know. So really good. So these mounts were about £14, and I've got lots of them in the car. This one's about £60. So personally, I wouldn't recommend that mount. Now, this one I've got on this side, yeah, I know I've got two phones, personal phone and a work phone. This one was quite cheap off of Amazon, and your phone just clamps on it, sticks on it, starts charging straight away. Yeah. And the funny thing is, the Otter mount also sticks on it, no problem. So I'm not quite sure why it doesn't stick on the Scoshi mount that well, but you know, they both work well. Charges the phone, both of them charge the phone, and keeps you on the right side of the law, shall we say. And why drivers don't invest in phone holders, these magnetic ones are great, I really don't know. It keeps you on the right side of the law, keeps you out of the away from people like Cycling Mikey, who's trying to catch cab drivers out for using a handheld phone, which you shouldn't be doing anyway. Yeah, I wouldn't bother going for the Scoshi mount. The Brodit mount, it just clamps around the A pillar there, and it basically just sits there. It's really strong, doesn't move at all. But the Scoshi wireless charge mount, it's very expensive for what it is. Personally, I would go for this one. This one's branded as a GHL Pro or something like that. I think it comes under various different brands on Amazon, and this one just clamps onto the vent. And it does come with another bracket that you can stick on wherever you want to stick it on. Personally, I don't like having the vent covered, so I will probably end up moving this somewhere else. It may even end up going over here, over where that phone currently is, because that's obsolete now. So that may end up going over here, out of the way. But this one is excellent for the price of it. I think it was about £20 when I bought it. They do vary in price. You need to look out for the special offers on Amazon. But I will link to all of these products down in the description down below. You shouldn't be using a handheld phone whilst you're driving. We're supposed to be professional drivers, so invest in your profession and get a phone mount to have your phone on, and it keeps you on the right side of the law. You're not picking your phone up. You know, I try not to interact with my phone whilst I'm driving at all. It's there, I can see notifications come up on it. I don't tend to touch it. The only time I do touch the phone is on an app job, on the very rare occasion that I'm actually logged on to the apps. This other phone that's here, I'll show you this very quickly. That is an old phone running a thing called Cyclops, which tells you your speed you're going, notifies you of speed cameras and speed limits when the speed limit changes and things like that. Unfortunately, Cyclops have decided that they're ceasing trading in 2024. So once the subscription to this, which wasn't very expensive, was about £5 a year, expires, I'm no longer going to be able to use it. And I just like that visual. Indication, because when you go near a speed camera or a speed limit changes, that actually lights up orange, and I think it's a good visual indication of your changing speed limit and things like that. I'm looking for another thing, another app or another device or whatever that will do that. Yes, the cab does do it when you're driving along. It obviously gives you the speed limit. The cab obviously gives you your speed limit in the centre, and you've got your speedometer and the speed limit indication in numerical form as well. So yeah, it gives you your numerical in the centre there, and you've got your speedometer. But that, with it lighting up orange when when the speed limit is changing, is a great visual indicator that you're changing. The speed limit's changed, and you can adjust your speed accordingly, and has saved me from getting points on numerous occasions. So yeah, I think it's a great indication. Other things I've got in the cab is down here is the tablet for my credit card system. This is supposed to link automatically to the meter, but for some reason the meter link isn't working properly at the moment. So the one I use at the moment is the CabVision system, the CabPay system, and I've never had any problems with it. The printer that comes with it, I've got to be honest, isn't great. This printer here, it isn't great. It's always disconnecting from the system, and I'm always having to reconnect it, and the meter link isn't working. But with regards to payment processing, I've not had a problem with it. The other thing I've got in the cab is my iPad. Now, my iPad is there because of the tours I do, and I've got all of my pictures on there for my tours, such as my Harry Potter pictures. I've got pictures of Westminster Abbey, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, all sorts of things that I do tours on. It also gives me a place to put the iPad when I'm driving, so as it's not rolling around on the floor. Because it's quite easy to break these things, and you know, I don't use it while I'm driving. The only time I might use it is for the map, if I'm actually looking for somewhere on the map. That's the only time that I use the iPad. Other than that, if I'm waiting on a client or sitting at the airport or whatever, I can watch a bit of Netflix on it, you know. I can watch some Netflix. It's not connected to the internet at the moment, or anything else. Go onto YouTube, but obviously not while I'm driving. This small mount you can see down here, I put in here when I first bought the cab, and it's basically redundant now. So it probably will be coming out at some point. I've still got my old phone that I use as an emergency phone. I sometimes put it on there to charge it, but other than that, I don't really use it, to be honest with you. So the iPad is actually mounted in what is called a RAM mount. Now this RAM mount is an old one I bought many years ago for an old iPad 1. So it's slightly bigger than my new iPad. But they're really good mounts. The only thing is, RAM Mount's website is absolutely useless. And when you try looking for a mount for an iPad 10th generation, they don't actually list one. They list one for an iPad 4th generation, which is a bit behind the times, really. So it's a really good mount. Comes with, doesn't come with a bracket. You have to order all the individual parts yourself. And let me just take it out. So basically this is just a spring-loaded thing where you can open it up, put your iPad inside it, and it's got a mount on the back which is connected down to this bracket that I managed to acquire, which is for the credit card systems. And normally it has like the tablet there and the printer there. Now I have actually got my tablet that I use for my credit cards on magnets, so it comes off and then I can just put it back on again, so I never ever leave it in the cab. Because you know what people are like these days, if they see something like that in there, even if it's screwed in, they try to steal it. They might break in and try to steal it out of the cab. So I don't tend to leave it in here, and the iPad just goes in there, keeps it tidy and out of the way, rather than it being on the floor or rolling around on the floor in the cab. It's a safe and secure place to keep it and all the time, and just means it's there for when I need it. So as I mentioned in a previous video, the mirrors on this are not great. They're not wide enough. There's no sort of blind spot mirror on there at all. And initially I put these in, which are great. Gives you a wider angle view to the rear, and you can see people or cars that are right by the side of you, whereas with these mirrors you can't see cars that are right by the side of you. But the only problem with these little circular sort of blind spot mirrors, using them on the inside, is of a night they're of no use at all, really. You can't see if you've got a pedestrian or a cyclist by the side of you. So I've now gone for these blind spot mirrors here, which give me a wider angle around the side of the cab, and I've fitted them on both sides. So please ignore the cameras up there, that's just for today, they're not in here normally. So yeah, they give me a much wider angle and give me and cover that blind spot that you get with the ordinary mirrors that comes with the cab. So they're a great addition, I think. And this one on this side, this one here, isn't quite positioned properly. It's actually angled out into the cab. I'm going to have to adjust it and move it so as it's that way slightly to get myself a wider angle out towards the back of the cab. So one other thing that I've had fitted to the cab is this peak on the hire sign. Now some drivers say that it gives a lot of wind noise, but in the previous video I showed you that you couldn't see the highlight in the sunlight, and I've got this parked directly with the sun facing onto the hire sign now, and if you look at that now, and I'm just going to turn the meter on. And you can definitely tell the difference now. You can tell that the high light is actually on. You can see it quite clearly that it's on. And I think it looks a bit retro as well. I think it looks really good. Not everyone's taste. And one other thing I've had fitted to the cab is this headrest cushion that really makes the headrest on the seat a lot nicer, because if you take that off, the headrest is hard, and if you try resting your head on it, it's really quite horrible. And this is really nice and soft, and all it does is just straps around the headrest, just makes it a nice place to rest your head when you stop somewhere, basically. Really small thing, but just makes it a more pleasant place to be. And of course, the last thing that I've had fitted to the taxi is my credit card system, because without that I can't get paid. So probably one of the most important things to have fitted in the taxi. And as you can see at the moment, I'm using the Cab Vision system. Maybe changing that soon. Not quite sure, undecided at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see how it goes. If you've liked this video, don't forget to subscribe for any future videos and hit that bell notification. And of course, one of the last things I had done to it was I had my number plate put back on the cab.